Welcome to the latest Motley Fool Scoreboard. I'm Anand Chokkavelu, and we've got longtime fools Jason Hall and Tyler Crowe giving a 1 to 10 rating to Moneyball and Microball stock Karat Packaging, ticker symbol KRT. First, we'll rate the strength of Karat's business, including factors like industry and competition. 10 is invincible. A 1 is hopeless. Jason's at an 8. Tyler, you're at a 7.
Yeah, 7. Look, there's only so much a business model can do to overcome the brutal low margin business that is supplying to-go packaging for the food service industry. And this is coming from a guy who invests in septic tank companies. Like, I'll go into weird places, but to-go packaging, that's a tough one for me. Karat is a small player with an opportunity to take share, but this industry is a lower growth, lower margin industry, and food service purchasing manager for a restaurant or wherever, they'll sell their second child for a 5% discount and a reliable supplier. So it's really hard to build a brand here.
Yeah, no, I think that's largely true, but from a scale perspective, I think it is positioned well to not just take share, but generate great returns as the tailwinds continue to play out.
Love that food packaging is too upstream for Tyler from his septic tank companies. Let's move on to management. A 10 is Warren Buffett. A 1 is Homer Simpson. Both of you have 5s, Tyler.
Yeah, look, there is some on-paper stuff that's hard to dislike. Like, it has 2 founders with significant share. They actually take relatively low salaries. They don't have a lot of incentive-based equity pay or anything like that. And they pay a dividend because they have high ownership. And that's how kind of they pay their salary. This would normally get incredibly high marks from me and just about everyone. But there are some like related party transactions in this company that just kind of give me the heebie-jeebies. Like, one of its key suppliers is owned by the CEO's brother in China, and Karat Packaging owns part of a variable interest company or a variable interest equity company that does warehouse management for Karat, and the CEO is the principal owner of that warehouse management entity. Like, so even through their pay from Karat directly is like low or something like that, they're kind of getting compensated elsewhere on these little side quests that just, like, I don't know, it gives me an ick.
Barring more evidence to prove to the contrary for Karat, the reason I scored it this low is the same thing. All you have to do is look at the dry shipping industry for a case study in how related party transactions can absolutely siphon off shareholder value from these businesses.
For financials, a 10 is a fortress. A 1 is yikes. Both of you have 7s, Tyler.
Yeah, I mean, no real complaints about the balance sheet. I think it looks pretty good. The growth on the income statement has slowed down over the past 2 years, despite these stated industry tailwinds. I know that there was the COVID bump of everybody being, at home. Delivery was a much bigger thing, but 2023 to 2025, and these first couple of quarters of 2025 have been pretty meh. Margins are also contracting. So, one might wonder if the big competitors in this industry, like, I don't know, Georgia Pacific or Kimberly-Clark, are seeing the competition from companies like the Karats of the world and fighting back with cost cuts and product innovation.
The only thing I'll add is really just building on that, the deterioration of the margins that Tyler talked about. We've also seen its cash conversion cycle get longer. So the time from delivering the goods and paying for its inputs and turning that back into cash, it's not great because you also have inventory building at the same time. So that doesn't look great if you think about that, what could be happening with the business.
Jason, let's move on to valuation. How well will Karat Packaging stock do over the next 5 years? And how safe is it? 10's a sure thing, 1's a lottery ticket.
Yeah, I think there's upside here. If that inventory build I was talking about does start to turn into better cash flows, if what we've seen with the cash conversion cycle start to revert, then returns will get better, and the current valuation could look like a bargain. But of course, the downside is the money getting siphoned off through all those related party things, the best returns going out accounts payable. And the other part too is if the company gets over its skis and does end up in an oversupplied market and margins continue to deteriorate.
Yeah, I said 5 to 10% with a safety score of 6. And, this is one where I could really see it going in either direction. If you were to say to me that the company continued to grow and expand margins by doing, customized work for smaller regional chains, mom and pop chains, people that'll pay up a little bit to get some branding out there on their takeaway containers or something like that, I'd believe that. I think there's certainly a case to be made for that to happen. At the same time, if you were to say to me, that the big players in this industry are going to price war and carrot other, small players into submission, we get into big discounts to the big regional chains like the Chipotles and the Panda Express that are sort of carrots like key customers. That could be a very viable outcome as well. And so I don't really have a clear line of sight on either of these things happening in the next 5 years. I mean, I don't know what's in Kimberly Clark's executive team's thought process over the next 5 years. So at that clear line of sight, I'm kind of underwrite conservatively and stick to that 5 to 10 just to, play it safe.
Let's move on to everyone's favorite topic. Jason, is there a company in Karat Packaging space that you like better?
So indirectly, not in the packaging part of the space, but in serving restaurants, I'll go with payment solution provider Toast. It's more value creative and a lot stickier than everything Tyler was talking about with a commodity packaging, food service packaging company that just can't necessarily create those advantages. So I would say take a look at Toast.
I'm going to punt a little bit unless you really want me to go long, like a long conversation about septic tank companies.
Okay, we'll pass. Thanks to both Tyler and to Jason. They've given Karat Packaging a meh overall score of 6.3 out of 10 after a decent underlying business. Look out for a new scoreboard every market day at 7 p.m. Eastern. Next up is something good, I promise. Till then, Fool on. Tyler, what's the name of your sewage company?
Advanced Drainage Systems.